who don't know me, I am, of course, the chairman for Southampton, but I was also a candidate last year. I stood in the local elections when we were polling some 12–13%. This was before Nigel had rejoined the party in frontline politics. And every other person he talked to, he said, "What party are you from?" "Reform UK." And most of them go, "Who's that?" Well, they're not saying that anymore now, are they? Everyone knows who we are. Everyone knows what we stand for and where we are going. I want to take this opportunity to also thank my wonderful team at Reform UK Southampton for arranging this tonight. We couldn't have done it without them. I also want to thank Eastleigh Football Club for having us, of course, tonight. And while this is by no means the Birmingham Conference, we will unfortunately not have Nigel Farage jumping on stage tonight, as has been rumoured by some very strange circles. And in the unlikely but albeit possible event of a minister's resignation or scandal, please do cheer. I know I certainly did when I saw the news about Rayner the other day. And with mention of Mr. Paffy, I did have to laud his efforts to defend Rayner and her legacy, with free school meals being mentioned and breakfast clubs as one of the great achievements. But do not forget the damage that this Labour government has done. Don't let the small trinkets that they've given us cloud the real damage that they have caused, and that they will continue to cause until they are out of number 10, out of our councils, and resigned to the dustbin of history. Yeah. And the same with the Conservatives. I'll now set the scene for tonight's theme, the battle for Britain. It is June 1940. Poland and France have fallen, along with the majority of Europe. Conquered by the Axis powers, our forces at this point are on the back foot in northern Africa and in Asia. Raiding of our shipping in the Atlantic had begun with the feared U-boats. The Luftwaffe was starting to set its sights on our isles. Britain, her Commonwealth, and her dominions of empire stood alone against the fearsome might of Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, and Imperial Japan across multiple fronts. It was expected by Hitler and his inner circle that we would crumble, that we would capitulate, and we would become part of the new fascist empire that was being built in Europe. But, contrary to his expectation, the Luftwaffe did not destroy our air force. They did not crush our will, and we did not surrender. These truly were our darkest hours, the Battle of Britain. This was termed by Winston Churchill. He also termed the Battle of Britain before it even started. He was that forward-thinking. Despite all adversity, bombing and rationing, we would fight on. We did not surrender, and we would not be conquered. We found hope in the stubborn and emboldened character of Winston Churchill, the determined men and women on the home front, and, of course, the valiant and brave airmen who fought for control of our skies and who were ultimately victorious. We mentioned the Supermarine Spitfire, which was developed in nearby Woolston in Southampton, and for which the factory was targeted in particular, with over 100 fatalities in one of the most devastating raids in Southampton. Britain and her people stood defiant, and the sacrifice against tyranny and dictatorship and the oppression that was threatened in the Second World War, at home and across the world, should always be remembered. Today, we have a new battle underway. Far from a nation that embodies freedom of thought and expression, we appear to be sleepwalking into becoming a police state. We limit our economic and industrial potential by enforcing nonsense net zero. Rather than being proud of our culture and history, including that of World War II and Winston Churchill, we censor and revise it for the sake of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Britain is broken, and we may now be experiencing our own darkest hour. However, like the Britain where the Spitfire rose to the skies more than 80 years ago, our spirit will not be broken, and we will not be conquered, and we will not surrender. Today we fight for law and order, sovereignty and security of our borders and on our streets. We fight for a fairer society where work pays and merit is rewarded. And most importantly, we fight for family, community, and country. It is clearer more than ever that despite all adversity, there are millions of Britons who await our turquoise dawn, ending the madness that we have endured for years, and the coming reformation that our great nation needs. This is our mission at Reform UK. This is our battle for Britain, and we will triumph. That is all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have overrun by a little bit, but we will now start a brief intermission. We will reconvene in about 5 minutes, and then we will continue with our programme with our next guest speakers.